Has science given us the ultimate power?
Do we reduce human life to a commodity? The answer is no, we don't.
To cheat death?
I'm simply holding on in the fragilest, most kind of elusive way to life.
Cloning. Its potential seems boundless.
Every year that this technology is held up, that has a very real cost in terms of human suffering.
But is it so dangerous it has to be stopped?
Science fiction has become science fact. I think we need to get a handle on it.
Sometimes science makes an advance so dramatic it changes the world forever. In the process, it provokes debate over some of our most basic values. Think of evolution, or the atom bomb, and now human cloning. The very word touches a nerve in our collective psyche. On the one side, it promises miraculous benefits. On the other, it seems to violate some of our most deeply held beliefs. And now many believe it is inevitable that someone, somewhere, will clone a human being. But what is there to fear? And what does cloning really mean? Tonight we team up with Newsweek magazine to explore what is behind the human cloning race. Here, a natural miracle. The moment when a human sperm fertilizes an egg. This union combines the genetic information of a male and female parent, resulting in a child blending both genetic strains together. Once something we could only observe, now science has the power to imitate it. This is an animal egg, undergoing a process called cloning. There's no sperm involved, no fertilization, just a micropipette transferring genetic material from another animal into the egg. From this will come a cloned offspring, virtually identical to that second animal. Now that this power to clone exists and is being explored, there's a firestorm of controversy worldwide. A firestorm fueled by ambition, confusion, and misunderstanding. Sharon Begley, a senior editor for Newsweek magazine, explains.
Anytime you have those three magic words, human, embryo, and clone, in the same headline, people are going to go hysterical.
Controversy over the first cloned human embryo.
That's what happened when a Massachusetts biotech firm called Advanced Cell Technology, or ACT, announced in November 2001 the first successfully cloned human embryo. One expert who advises the government on embryo research was not surprised. Dartmouth professor Ronald Green.
Mention the word cloning and people are frightened. It's as simple as that. They evoke 100 years of movies and books, terrors from Frankenstein through Brave New World. They see ranks and ranks of identical pod creatures.
Or, as in the film The Boys from Brazil, about the cloning of Adolf Hitler. They see the culmination of his eugenic madness.
The right Hitler for the right future. A Hitler tailor-made for the 1980s, 90s, 2000.
Visions of maniacal dictators aside, there are many who find cloning violates their most deeply held beliefs.
The idea of the sanctity of life, simple human values, ethical systems that might or might not have religious foundations, hold life to be sacred. And the idea that humans should not be mucking about in it, I think many people hold to very seriously.
Human cloning occurs naturally in identical twins. But the idea that scientists could do this seemed like fantasy.
But it remained really very far off it. And then, of course, along came Dolly.
Dolly was the sheep clone by Scottish researchers in 1996. Her birth shattered conventional scientific wisdom, which said using adult cells to clone a mammal, especially a human being, was impossible.
What Dolly showed us is that's just not true. That every cell in my body can be brought back to an infantile state. New tissues can be produced, a whole new me.
Dolly also set off a worldwide race to be the first to clone a person. Dr. Brigitte Boisselier is one of the competitors.
Yeah, it's funny how a sheep can change a life.
Dr. Boisselier is director of a company called Clonaid, founded in 1997 for the purpose of cloning a human being. Before news of ACT's human clone broke, Boisselier told investigative reports she'd already cloned a human embryo.
This is an embryo. It's the results of a nucleus transfer and several divisions, so it's an embryo.
Yet, despite her claims, Boisselier's work has not been independently verified. The concept of cloning, known technically as somatic cell nuclear transfer, is fairly simple. It starts with an unfertilized donated egg containing the mother's DNA. The genetic material is removed from the nucleus and replaced with DNA from the cell to be cloned. An electric pulse and chemical bath trigger the egg into behaving as if it's fertilized, which means it will divide and grow normally. In human reproductive cloning, the cloned embryo will be implanted in a woman's womb, producing a child 99% genetically identical to the donor. Dr. Boisselier sees reproductive cloning as fertility treatment. She's surprised by its hostile reception.
It's a science to produce a baby. It's not a bulb, it's not a monster. We're talking of providing a baby to some parents who would like to have a baby through this technology.
People like 40-year-old Liz Catalan. She can't have kids of her own, but her home is a haven to her best friend's daughters.
Having the kids around makes me want to be more of a mother, because I'd want to have them here all the time with me, showing them how to cook, how to bake, how to do things, how to do crafts, because I like to do a lot of crafts.
After 5 years of unsuccessfully trying to get pregnant, she learned the reason why.
When I started going specifically to an infertility specialist, they started telling me that I had what they call premature ovarian failure.
The Catalans are like 2 million other infertile couples in the United States. Though adoption or surrogacy might provide them with a child, Liz says neither would satisfy her.
As a woman, and the mother instinct that a woman has, having your own child genetically is very important. So I started doing a lot of research on infertility, and one of the things that came up was cloning.
Through reproductive cloning, DNA from Liz or her husband could be transferred to a donor egg that would be implanted in her womb. She could then give birth. While it may help Liz, critics argue reproductive cloning raises many moral and ethical questions, like creating designer children. One legal specialist on fertility who sees problems ahead is Lori Andrews.
I'm from Chicago. Everybody wants to clone Michael Jordan, but pity that poor child if he breaks his knee at age 10. Will he consider himself worthless, a failure? Will his parents think they've made a mistake?
For the media, cloning presents the difficult task of separating fact from fiction, truth from hype. The scientists themselves aren't helping. The August 2001 meeting of the National Academy of Sciences featured several leading cloning advocates, including Italian Dr. Severino Antinori and his U.S. partner, Dr. Panagiotis Tsafos. They were attacked by establishment scientists.
This is an almost answer your questions before you continue to the next one, because I'm not going to allow you to lecture to me.
Let me finish. You probably don't realize how difficult these experiments are.
Despite the objections from their colleagues, Antinori and Tsafos are pursuing their goal to clone a human. For Antinori, it would cap a career in fertility medicine that's already seen him help a 62-year-old grandmother have a baby. He and Tsafos plan to produce the first cloned baby within 2 years. For many scientists, that's too soon, because it's too dangerous. They say that more research needs to be done with animals first.
Why should we wait? The only thing that will tell us more is implantation and see the pregnancy.
Boisselier is a special target for criticism because of her religion. She is Aurelian, a follower of a Montreal-based religion that believes humans are cloned from hyper-intelligent aliens.
The aliens proceed irresponsibly, and they feed the fears. They feed the apprehensions.
I don't think that the fact that I believe in UFO makes my science less accurate. They should realize that if I'm wrong, if I do a baby with defects, then I will hurt everybody associated to me. Do you really believe that's what I want?
Mainstream scientists have a tendency to reject and certainly to criticize those who are not part of the fraternity. I think that's dangerous because we have seen time and again in the history of science that it's often the outsider, the person who is not, what shall we say, sort of co-opted by the idea of what is possible in science, who makes the breakthrough.
After the FDA began inquiries into her operation and she lost her financial backers, Dr. Boisselier closed her lab in West Virginia. Yet she's determined to reach her goal and has moved her work outside the United States.
You will never stop those people to do it. And I'm one of them.
While the race to clone the first human has preoccupied the media and the public, there's another type of human cloning called therapeutic cloning, designed to produce medicines and cures, not children. Those exploring this little understood field say it could save millions of lives.